Well, hi, everybody. I'm Stewart, and welcome to our second edition of Breaking News for this Monday. It is the last day of June, June 30th, 2025. And the more facts that come to light, the more we learn about Iran's nuclear ambitions getting dimmer and dimmer by the moment. In addition, we're going to look at further information about the anti-Semitic communist Democratic candidate for mayor of New York City. And we're going to find the more we know about him, all the more scarier things get. So let's get into these stories. First of all, Donald Trump has said, according to the Jerusalem Post, I am not offering Iran anything. That doesn't bode well for Iran, does it? Not offering them anything. It was claimed that he was going to give Iran some type of money or incentive to stop enriching uranium. He says, no, I'm not offering them anything. We'll get to that story in a minute. And then we find out that the CIA chief says strike on the metal conversion site set Iran's nuclear program back years. This is from the Times of Israel. I hadn't heard this story. This is really an amazing one. It's a very important one. We'll get to that in a few minutes. We also find other bad news for Iran is that the Syrian regime is working to thwart Iranian threats on its soil. This is from Israel HaYom. Remember, before Iran had a gateway there from Syria right into Lebanon to Hezbollah, where they would ship their weapons through Syria under the Assad regime. Well, that's all now past history. Again, more bad news for Iran. And so we also find from the London Times, also by way of the Jerusalem Post, Iran was stockpiling a missile arsenal that could reach Europe, Foreign Ministry spokesman said. And so this is interesting, and another reason why it was very necessary for Iran to be attacked by Israel. And also the means of production. We're going to seize the means of production. This is Mamdani, the Democratic candidate for mayor in New York. He lays bare his agenda. This is from Zero Hedge. And when we see his agenda, it's rather frightening for the people of the United States of America. And it should be, particularly for those in New York City, where he's going to seize the means of production. He's an anti-Semite. There's many other things he said that are very, very frightening. Yet it seems this man may become the next mayor of one of the most important cities in the United States of America, one of the top three most important. New York, Washington, and LA, I guess, would be the top three. Anyway, we'll talk about him in a few minutes. All right, one further note also. I talked this morning with our Iranian friend Nauder. Nauder, for those of you who are new to us, he works with special forces. And I asked him about the story we did earlier from Israel's N12 News. And the story was the first headline we did this morning. Israel's next war as soon as next week. Houthi takedown and Iran's chilling threat. And I said, is it true? Is it true that could be a war as early as next week? And he answered 100,000% it's true. He also said, as I was asking some questions, he said Israel is done with the USA as far as fighting is concerned. He said they only needed the B-2 bombers and the GBUs 57s. Those are the bunker busters. They don't need them anymore. So they really don't need the United States in taking on Iran in the future. And so I also asked him about what is the percentage of the Iranians that would like to see a regime change. And he said about 70%. 70% of the people of Iran, and he's Iranian, by the way, 70% of the people of Iran would love to see a regime change. The problem is those in charge, like we've been saying and reporting under various stories, are keeping them keeping them basically in prison, as it were. You can't protest. If you try and protest or say anything negative against the country, you're put in jail or executed, and so all kinds of terrible things are happening to the people there who would love freedom. And we also mentioned the fact when Israel and the United States was bombing Tehran, and particularly when they hit the three nuclear sites, they threw parties all over Iran because they thought the regime was going to fall. They thought that would be the end of the Ayatollahs. It was 1979 when the Islamic Republic of Iran was created with the leaving of the Shah of Iran, the taking over by Ayatollah Khomeini at the time. And yet that is not what took place. Now, why should we listen to what Nauder says? Now, for those of you who are new to us, if you recall, if you're not new, on June 9th, we broadcast a very special report here on Breaking News. And here was the report. You can see it if you want to go down our list of our playlist on YouTube of the various breaking news broadcasts. And on June 9th, we broadcast a report titled Online Chatter from the Intelligence Community, Israeli Attack on Iran is Imminent. We said it's going to happen. It's going to be imminent. And this was at a time, this very same day, when Donald Trump had publicly told Israel and Netanyahu on that very day to wait and see if the negotiations would bear fruit. So he needed, and Netanyahu and Israel needed to hold off attacking. We alone now continue with the story for the next couple of days until Israel did indeed attack Iran. We later learned that Netanyahu had given the order on that very same Monday we did the story to go forward with the attack. That was the intelligence given to me by Nauder. So obviously he's an excellent source. So you got that from the intelligence community, which there was chatter going on, and we gave the story. And like I said, I didn't worry about it, breaking some top secret um, plan simply because we don't have that many people watching us or listening to our program, so, they don't watch or monitor me from Iran. Who am I? I've got like 10, 15,000. Well, probably, well, each broadcast is that's all we have watching and listening. So it's not a whole lot of people. We're thankful for each and every one of you, but because of that, and I ask him, I always have to clear it with him, is it okay I broadcast this? He said, oh yeah, go ahead. Let it be known because no one's going to believe you because everything that's being said is just the opposite. And what he said was true. All right. So anyway, again, back to why we said this. He thinks there's going to be next as early as next week sometime a Houthi takedown from Israel against the Houthis there in Yemen with what they're doing. Because recall the story we did the other day about how the Houthis said Iran is going to transfer all their missile production, all their equipment to Yemen, and the Houthis are going to be in charge of it. And so, that being the case, it looks like we're getting another attack on the Houthis from the Israelis. All right, let's look at the headlines of the moment now. Headline number one. Donald Trump says, I am not offering Iran anything. This is from the Jerusalem Post. He said he isn't currently offering Iran anything, and he gave digs at former U.S. President Barack Obama for paying Iran billions of dollars under a road to a nuclear weapons plan. He claimed that he is not offering them anything in exchange for agreeing to abandon its nuclear ambitions. In a post on his Truth Social platform, Trump slammed the following. He says, tell phony Democrat Senator Chris Coons that I'm not offering Iran anything, all capital letters. Unlike Obama, who paid them billions under the stupid road to a nuclear weapon JCPOA, which would now be expired. Nor am I even talking to them since we totally obliterated their nuclear facilities. Last week, Coons tweeted, it's too early to conclude how far Iran's dangerous nuclear program has been set back and whether it will continue to pursue nuclear weapons. U.S. forces being called back into action for an extended period of time, unfortunately, remains a possibility. So to sum up, Trump isn't even talking to Iran now. If Iran violates the ceasefire agreement with Israel, it's going to be Israel swinging into action, most likely without the help of the USA, because as Nauder said, Israel has the weapons to do it. They only needed the B-2 bombers and those 30,000 pound bombs to blast in uh, the site there at Fordo in Iran. All right, headline number two, and this one's interesting. Again, I didn't know this. CIA chief says strike on metal conversion site set Iran's nuclear program back by years. This is from the Times of Israel. Isfahan site damage assessment shared with U.S. lawmakers appear to mesh with that of Israeli officials. At the same time this article comes out, the Iranian envoy to the UN vows that the Islamic Republic will never stop enriching uranium. Okay. CIA Director John Ratcliffe told a skeptical group of U.S. lawmakers that American military strikes destroyed Iran's lone metal conversion facility and in the process delivered a monumental setback to Tehran's nuclear program that would take years to overcome, a U.S. official said on Sunday. The official, who spoke on the condition anonymity to discuss this sensitive intelligence, said Ratcliffe laid out the importance of the strikes on the metal conversion facility during a classified hearing for U.S. lawmakers last week. The metal conversion facility that Ratcliffe said was destroyed was located at the Isfahan nuclear facility. The process of transforming enriched uranium gas into dense metal or metallization is a key step in building the explosive core of a bomb. Details about the private briefing surfaced as President Trump and his administration keep pushing back on questions from Democratic lawmakers and others about how far Iran was set back by the strikes before last Tuesday's ceasefire where Israel with Israel when the ceasefire took hold. It was obliterating like nobody has ever seen before, Trump said in an interview on Fox News' channel Sunday Morning Futures, and that meant the end of their nuclear ambitions for at least a period of time. Now, Ratcliffe also told the lawmakers that the intelligence community assessed the vast majority of Iran's amassed enriched uranium likely remains buried under the rubble at Isfahan and Fordo, two of the three key nuclear facilities targeted by the U.S. strikes. But even if the uranium remains intact, and here's the key, even if it remains intact, it illustrates all the more that Iran's nuclear program would have a long way to go to get back to where it is because the loss of its metal conversion facility effectively has taken away its ability to build a bomb for years to come. And that's the takeaway from this. And so this was a huge, huge destruction there at Isfahan. And again, along with the other things that the U.S. did with the bombing on that day at Isfahan, Natanz, and Fordo, it really has set their program back years. But particularly this plant again, which didn't know about it, about the which they call it. What do they call it again? The strike on metal conversion site and the process there that's needed to effectively produce a bomb, the explosive force and all of that, the core of the explosion, all of that has been taken away with this one bomb, this tremendous bomb that hit that place in Iran. So interesting. So again, what the point is, Iran is further setback for a long period of time of doing anything on any large scale. Now, having said that, it's not impossible they could put some type of dirty bomb together or some type of thing together with what they have, but to do anything on a larger level is just not in the cards. They just cannot do that now because of what's happened with these attacks. All right, headline number three, the Syrian regime working to thwart Iranian threats on its soil. This is from Israel HaYom. National Security Council head highlights common ground and Israeli interest in normalizing ties with Syria. Earlier, U.S. President Donald Trump told Fox News that more countries want to join the Abraham Accords. A day after the Saudi daily Ashwar al-Sat reported that Israel and Syria were continuing talks towards a potential agreement, it was revealed Sunday evening that the new Syrian regime, led by Ahmad al-Sharaa, is working to neutralize Iranian threats within the country. Now, this is huge. Why is that huge? Simply because, as we said earlier, Syria was basically the place where they would ship weapons. Iran would, and they shipped to Lebanon through Syria. They get there through Syria. It was the conduit there, and the Assad regime allowed that to happen. So it was a very important point, where these weapons would get to Hezbollah there in Lebanon, so they could attack Israel. Well, that conduit's all shut down now. They've stopped that. Furthermore, Iran's presence in Syria is very much unwelcome, and so what this story says that they share the common interest now, that is Syria and Israel, with keeping Iran out of that area of the Middle East. So it's really interesting. So keeping Iran out would be, like we said, another major setback in their desire to destroy Israel. Seeing Syria sits on Israel's northern border was previously used by Iran to smuggle weapons to Hezbollah and Lebanon. So again, story after story. What happened at Isfahan, that story that the CIA director told these different Congress people in Washington, with this story about Syria not allowing Iran in the neighborhood. It makes it harder and harder for Iran to get any type of foothold in their attempt to destroy Israel. Now, story number four is very important. Headline four, Iran was stockpiling a missile arsenal that could reach Europe, the foreign ministry spokesman said. It was moving ballistic missile production into an industrial scale, and it was about to become the top missile producer in the world, with intercontinental ballistic missiles able to reach European cities, including London. This is what the Israeli foreign minister spokesperson Oren Marmelstein said during an interview with the London Times on Sunday. Describing Israel's reasoning for conducting airstrikes on Iran, he told the Times, we actually acted because of two existential threats. One was nuclear, and we acted when we did because Iran was at the 11th hour of being able to build a bomb. But the other was the ballistic threat. The U.S. estimated Iran possessed approximately 3,000 ballistic missiles before Operation Rising Lion began, but was undergoing attempts to increase the production to 20,000, Mamdani stated, with missiles capable of carrying 2-ton payloads. Now, when discussing the missile which killed 4 people in Beersheba on Tuesday, shortly before the ceasefire came into effect, Marmelstein commented, imagine if Tehran sent 10,000 of those. And if you saw the pictures of that seven-story building in Beersheba, it was totally obliterated. These are powerful, powerful bombs. And like he said, imagine if Iran had 10,000 of those, what it could do to Israel. This threat was existential to us as a nuclear bomb would be a threat. Iran was getting closer and closer to a nuclear bomb, also almost reaching the point of no return. And this is another of the many reasons why an attack on Iran was necessary. So again, the necessity of the attack, the result of it has been very, very good. Putting Iran way back, far away from where it was before, take years to recover everything, and Israel will be right on them if they attempt to do anything with respect to nuclear, going forward with any nuclear building of a bomb or anything else. All right, now we're going to move to the U.S. because this story is rather disconcerting here. We've touched on it briefly. We don't get into U.S. politics, but there's a reason we're going to talk about it here. And the headline is Seize the Means of Production. Mamdani lays bare his agenda. This is from Zero Hedge. Zohran Mamdani's run for mayor of New York City is a clear and present danger to the stability, economic health, and democratic foundation of both the city and the nation. That's the reason we're doing the story. His platform is rooted in a radical socialist ideology that has time and time again led to failure, repression, and suffering wherever it has been tried. And thanks to a clip surfacing on social media today, we said that Mamdani is not hiding this. In fact, he has been strikingly open about what he believes and what he plans to do. Speaking at a 2021 at the Young Democratic Socialists of America Organizing Conference, he said his goal is to continue to elect more socialists and to be unapologetic about our socialism. He followed that with two key objectives: boycotting Israel and seizing the means of production. The phrase seizing the means of production is not some vague slogan. It's a core tenet of the Marxist revolutionary ideology. It means that private property, businesses, and industries are taken from their owners and turned over to the collective or state control. The Soviet Union, Joseph Stalin, used the seizure of private farms and industry, known as collectivization, to consolidate power and eliminate private enterprise. This led directly to the Holodomor, a man-made famine in the Ukraine, in which millions of people died. In Maoist China, the Great Leap Forward aimed to forcibly collectivize agriculture and industry under state control. It too resulted in catastrophic famine, and the deaths of an estimated 30 to 45 million people. In Venezuela, Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro pushed nationalization of key sectors, fixed prices, they expropriated private businesses. The result has been what? Economic ruin in Venezuela, hyperinflation, food and medicine shortages, and mass immigration. Mondami's unapologetic admiration for those ideas should not be taken lightly, and they shouldn't. Now, why are we saying this? Well, recall that the U.S. is not found in last days Bible prophecy. This is important. We have documented this in our book, 45 Common Mistakes About Last Days Bible Prophecy Cleared Up, mistakes 10 and 11. Mistake 10, the United States is not in last days Bible prophecy. It's a mistake to claim that certain passages are speaking about America. Then mistake 11, the young lions of Tarshish in Ezekiel 38:13 is not referring to the United States. It's wrong to claim this in 38:13, 38:18. It's going way beyond the evidence. Now, there are many possible scenarios as to what will happen to the United States. If candidates like Mamdani come to power, then we will fall from within. However, we do not know if this is what will occur, but we do know that we are not a player in last days Bible prophecy. That's all we need to know. How we get there, we just don't know. There's lots of different possibilities, but this is one that could very well happen, falling from within. Now, see also our book, 25 Signs. We're near the end. No superpower will intervene on Israel's behalf when they are invaded. That's Ezekiel 38 and 39. Something will happen to the United States. And so, again, we're not going to be a player at the time of the end. Whatever the case may be, that's what the scripture teaches. We are conspicuous by our absence. Now, as far as these other stories, we will keep you posted because a lot of things are happening right now as we speak. I'm Don Stewart. Thanks for watching. And until next time, as always, may the Lord richly, richly bless.